How you doing, guys? Tech Motorsports Ed here, and welcome to part 3 of the rear subframe. So now that the plates have already been welded in and the VIN spar installed as well, now it's time to rip this thing apart and replace all the bushings with some solid or polyurethane bushings. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and start and disassembling the whole assembly. And yeah, so stand tight and watch me work very fast. Alright, so next step is, or next thing I gotta do is remove the axles from the hubs. Here lately, these things have really been seized into place. So I've kind of got some leftover road cage material, and I used different pins for the press, and I was able to put my whole the whole trailing arm in the press and to press it out. So it works great, and there's no banging or nothing of that sort. I mean, at first I did try my air hammer just to see if it would break loose, and it wouldn't. So I already knew it was going to be a tough one. So I just had to break my stuff out. This is the second time I've done it, and it works like a charm. So. Well, that's it. Pretty much everything that is getting replaced has been removed. So next step is just got to clean a bunch of these parts and get ready to start reassembling with the new stuff. So awesome. Let me keep plugging along. All right, guys. Here's the diff. I've already drained the oil, and I'm going to go ahead and start replacing the seals, also the new diff cover, and I'll get that ball rolling. Gonna clean it as well, so let's get to it. And now she'll be ready for her bath. Alright, now I got the diff all cleaned up. And I'm just going to start installing the seals. So I'll start with the front seal, the pinion seal, and get the yoke and everything back on. I won't torque that down yet. What I end up doing is, before I took it off, I punched dots to where so when I tighten it, because of the preload, I go ahead and just make sure when they're tight that those two dots match one another, so that it'll come close to the preload that it was from the OEM. That way there's no preloading, nothing that I have to do on my end. So that's the way I'm doing that. And so yeah, I'm just going to start installing the seals. So just like the OE, just a regular paper gasket, and no sealant at all. Brand new one. Beautiful. Alright, so torque specs for the diff cover, 45 Newton meters, so let's get to it. I end up just putting 2 bolts here and put it on a pry bar, and I just tighten it down, keeping an eye on where my 2 dots are at, and It just takes a handful of times, but I got them all lined up. So she's done. I'm gonna go ahead and put the cover back on for the bolt, and I'm gonna add the fluid, and the diff is done. So once I get the bushings installed on the subframe, then I'll the bushings, and then I gotta make sure I do the control arms, and then install this thing. So yep, let's keep trucking on. Okay, now I can classify as the diff is done. I went ahead and already added my oils. As I stated earlier, let me keep plugging along. Oh, she is pretty, ain't she? Yeah, she came out pretty nice. I like new things like this. It's great. Okay, so now it's time for the solid bushings to be installed in the rear subframe. So let's get started. And she's done. That was probably one of the most easiest ones. We'll see where the other ones bring. Okay, all the bushings are in, including the diff one up front. So now it's time for the control arms. All right, now it's time for the diff. Alright, so now it's time to start pressing in the trailing arm bushings on each trailing arm. And in the inner arm, I'll also install the new bushings as well for the control arms, the upper and the lower. And start with the bearings as well. So yeah, let's keep moving. So these end of the bearings are very hard to get off. Usually when you press them off, they stay with the actual hub itself. Not for me. So unfortunately the race puller thing that I had, I've had it for the longest time. And as I kept using it, it kept losing strength as the threads were getting bad. And the last time I did this, they just went completely bad. So I knew the next time I was going to end up having to pull a race off, it was going to be an issue using it. So I pretty much just it's just sitting in there. But there's another method. You grab a cutoff wheel and you go from one corner at a nice long angle. You got to take your time and bring it all the way around, and you know, try to get it to where you don't cut into that, and just, you know, look up your depth. And then what I end up doing is I'll take a chisel and start like tapping it until it splits. And if it doesn't tap, or if it doesn't split after a handful of taps, then I go back and I go one more round, and then I'll keep doing that until it comes off. And man, it came out really well. No nicks, no nothing. So yeah, it's just another quick little method. If you don't have a tool, let's press this puppy on. Okay guys, so I'm going to go ahead and now start installing the lower control arm bushings on the rear hub assembly. So I'll get those on. I've already done the driver's side one, so now I'm going to do the passenger side. So I'll get started on that. I'm dealing with a wounded bearing right here, so it's just taking them off. I messed it up, so I've kind of been trying to work with it. So and there we go. So those are already installed. Oh yeah. demo. Okay, so I got mostly everything set up. So I got my trailing arms with the axles already installed on both. So I'm gonna attach them to the assembly. What I end up doing also, these are notorious, which are the alignment bolts for the lower control arm on the actual trailing arm bushing, or on the trailing arm. They get rusted out. On this one I had a huge problem getting it off originally, so I put NSCs on both the on both sides on the lower one. So let's get started with the assembly. I know it's going to end up taking a little bit of finagling and trying to get everything in there, so bear with me. Okay, so they're attached. So what I'm going to end up doing next is sway bar. Get the sway bar links in. I got to put new bushings on the sway bar links as well, and then I'll put the leveling sensor on the passenger side, and then technically the assembly will be done. I will then install it in the subframe and do the rest of the stuff while the subframe is already attached to the car. So let's get to it. All right, so next thing, rear sway bar. I already cleaned it up. Got a little bit more to do, but still looks really good. Just taking the sway bar links off and putting the new white line ones. So go ahead and I'll start taking these off. I already pre-lubed them, so they should come out kind of easy. We'll soon find out and see. Well, these are the wrong ones. Great. Well, little baby sway bar bushing, Papa sway bar bushing. So, yeah, I don't think they're gonna fit. So, well, I'm just gonna put the standard ones back in. This can be done at a later point, thank goodness, easy peasy. So, throw that to the side. And here are the poly for the little sway bar ones. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get those on there. I already got one off. Luckily, when I started pulling it off from the actual sway bar, it actually helped me, and some of it was already off. So, the next one is gonna be the hard one, the next ones. So. And I'll tell you what, these polyurethane bushings for the sway bar links in the rear, what a pain in the butt to put these on. It was just hard to get them on. I mean, it was really a pain in the butt, but I prevailed. I got them in. So. All right, guys. So went ahead and got the rear sway bar installed. So pretty much at this point is start installing it. So the studs that come with the Vince bar. This one is a bolt and a nut, so it'll be installed from underneath and threaded through the actual chassis. And on the back side, on the Vince bar, there's actually a hole or a slot for the nut. So it's going to be bolted technically twice, so it'll have the extra strength and rigidity that it needs to have to minimize any movement back there. And then the front one, the kit that comes with the Vince bar, it's you got the spacer in the center, and then the same thing. This is the OEM nut, and then you have the washer and the nut that comes with it. And this will be on the inside, on the front section of the cups. So again, you have two biting forces on the interior and on the exterior underneath. So this is great. I dig it. So yeah. So time to start slapping her together. This will conclude part 3 of the bushings install on the rear subframe, and next video, part 4, would be the reassembly of the fuel tank, the rear subframe, and the little odds and ends. Still have calipers to rebuild and suspension to install and some brake lines and stuff. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and like always, like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.